Let's talk about a little bit about these freshmen, John. They're going to be new. They're a more rambunctious group, I think, than we may have seen sometime in the past, and there's an enormous number of them coming in.
Well, that's right, and you have these tensions. You know, the president has talked about getting back to first principles, which means bipartisan outreach, which I guess those phone calls are about. But you've got the president's tension with the new freshmen, and then you've got the tension between the new freshmen and their colleagues. And you know they're going to have this vote this week.
In both the Democratic Party and the Republican
Well, exactly
Party.
right. So you've got a sort of a three-ring circus going there, and the Republicans are going to run up against this week on this vote on earmarks, where you've got some of these new members who want to get rid of it, and some of the old guard who don't. And that'll be an interesting early test of those freshmen and their power and how much they're going to speak up.
Charles, what do you look for?
Yeah, this freshman class has a distinction of being elected in a very volatile anti-Washington climate. So, you know, here's where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. You know, one, you know, can these cats, can they really govern? Do they know the governing process, particularly in the House? So, you know, that'll be a test of, you know, seeing, you know, hey, can they really kind of insert themselves in this kind of new climate? Two, you know, also, can they stay attached to constituent concerns and also constituent pain back home? A lot of them coming from districts where they've been hit hard by unemployment, by foreclosures, by this very struggling economy. And so you have a lot of them commenting on the fact that, hey, I don't want to forget while I'm here in Washington where I'm coming from. So they're coming in as sort of these hard-charging, anti-Washington, but sort of pro-fiscal sanity freshmen coming from districts where the constituents are like, hey, we elected you for a particular purpose, not for you to sort of get along and do backroom deals and smoke cigars and hang out in Washington. We really want you to get stuff done.
And in the meantime, in between time, before we get to that new Congress, the lame duck Congress, the people who are currently in office, some of whom got beat during this election, are reconvening now for what could be a really volatile session and an important one, because there's a lot of things they got to do, like pass, I guess, at least a continuing budget resolution to keep the government running through next year. Also, I guess they're going to take up President Bush's tax cuts, which all expire at the end of the year. Nobody knows quite what's going to happen on that front. What do you see happening there, John?
Well, that's on the tax cuts is the question. How much does the president want to fight? Does he want to have a fight with this lame duck where some of the people are out the door? They don't have the stomach for a big fight with Republicans. On the other hand, this is an important issue, you know, and so you talk to some Democrats and they say if President Obama can't fight over giving tax cuts to millionaires and billionaires, then what, you know, what does he stand for as a Democrat? On the other hand, other people say, look, this has got to get solved by the end of this year, because if it isn't, everybody's going to get a tax cut, knowing that that's the end result.
Not going to get a tax
Pardon me,
cut.
exactly, yes, a tax increase. Everybody knows they're going to get a tax increase if this doesn't get solved. With that wall behind them, there's going to be a deal. So let's stop the fighting and just get to the deal.
Some folks on both sides of the aisle sort of hinting that there could be room for compromise. You had Senator Chuck Schumer saying, hey, let's raise the tax cut limit to about $1 million. I'm open to that. And there were some Republicans saying, hey, that's not a bad deal.
But yet, you've got Nancy Pelosi saying no way, no how, as I understand it. That was kind of her position through her aides. I'm not sure she said that directly to anybody last week, but she was saying we have no intention of giving tax cuts to those people in the upper income groups.
That's Nancy Pelosi kind of speaking as House Minority Leader, or making sure that she solidifies her liberal base so she gets that kind of support while she makes that run for House Minority Leader. Already you got some blue dog Democrats saying that, you know, they don't like the fact that she's still pursuing leadership. So she needs that progressive sort of phalanx in front of her, so she's got to kind of put out these big battle cries like that.
But I think at this point there's no way to say whether this is going to go anywhere or go nowhere and be kicked over to next year. And I guess you have to point out they can pass something next year that would make those cuts retroactive, as I understand it. Am I right about that?
Well, yes, although they run into this problem that everybody's planning is based, people don't know how to plan, and so there's a cost to the uncertainty. And so even if they could make it retroactive, it causes this big jolt in all the planning that people do at the end of the year to avoid the taxes in the next year, all these financial planners.
Sure.
Of course, that's usually for folks with a lot of money, but still, they tend to have some role in that.